Now, coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
That's right. Woodward Nights. You know what this is? This is a brand new Nights. This is now Woodward Nights with Broder and Brandon? Broder and Kool-Aid? Broder, Kool-Aid, Nick,
dressed
KG?
appropriately, man.
Dude, show off that shirt, Kool-Aid.
Hey, came dressed appropriately. Shout out to D-Mac, man, the legend. The 4-time Stanley Cup champion, man. I remember the day he presented me with the shirt.
That's gotta feel good.
Now I get to kind of debut it on the desk next to my man, guy Matt Broder, man.
Let's go, dude. I tweeted something out just before the show, but I've been looking forward to doing this show with you for so long. I think this man is one of the most underrated voices in sports media. Not Detroit sports media. Detroit Pistons is his specialty, but this man knows sports. You know football.
Appreciate
you know a little
brother.
bit of baseball, a little bit of hockey. This man, I'm excited.
I appreciate you a lot, man. You know what, man? Matt Broder, the beat writer extreme. Every time that everything Woodward has asked you to do, you hold it down.
Let's go.
I call him Matt Broder, but you guys can call him GOAT now. Bars. Let's rock.
This room, this foursome right here. This is a special group we got.
Pause.
In the sound booth. Nick, say hello.
Let's go. Happy to talk these fans off a ledge today. You know,
It's a lot of that.
it's been a great season. I wish we could have done 2 more weeks of prep for the big game, but we are here. We're gonna bring it to you. We're gonna break it down. Let's go, Woodward Nights, baby.
That's right. And in the TD booth, our technical director, Mr. KG.
You know it.
Kenny.
What up, though?
Let's rock.
So guys, just generally, how we feeling after this game?
You know what? I think the word that Jared Goff used was devastated. It's devastating, man. It really is, because of how good we know this team was. We know that their being up in that game, it wasn't a fluke. We know they deserve to be there in that moment. And when you lose something like that, man, I think the most appropriate word is devastated.
Yeah, it is. It was a crushing loss. I know. So here's what we're gonna do. We're taking this full 2 hours to talk about this game. At the end, we're gonna take phone calls, and then we're gonna finish off the phone with a little bit of optimism. Just, hey, how is this team looking for the future? We're not gonna go into too much detail. I want to celebrate, or at least talk about this game and honor the players on this team before we start talking replacements, before we start talking free agency and draft. We're going to review this game. We're going to be critical of players, of coaches. We're going to break it down, see what happened. How did they let the San Francisco 49ers run off 27 unanswered and make, I think it was the biggest comeback in NFC Championship history.
Jeez, yeah.
That's tough. So we're going to run through that. We're going to talk generally here in the first second. We're going to talk that first half coming up right after this. So there will be some optimism. We're going to be talking some of those. That first half was exceptional. They played so good until the second half, which we're going to talk about 8:45. We're going to start breaking down some of the mistakes, missed opportunities, coaching decisions, all of it. Then we're just going to get it. We're going to hear from the people. We're going to talk to you guys on the phone, get your general sense. This, to me, I'm putting in our 24-hour limit. You can still vent. You can still let it all out. You can be negative if you want. I personally don't want to see the SOL stuff, but hey, if that's how you feel, let it fly.
It's a
Broder,
safe space.
man of the people.
That's what we're doing, baby.
Yeah.
That's
What'd you
what
say,
we're doing.
Kenny?
No, I say it's a safe space.
Yeah.
For all of our fans in the chat.
It is. You guys know in the chat. I want everyone to be able to voice their opinions, positive or negative, and not feel intimidated to do so. Not feel like you're going to be in the wrong. We want to have a debate. We want to have an argument, a conversation, and at the end, we want to hug it out. We want to just end on a positive note. This is sports media, man. We all have different opinions, so let's air them out. Before we get into this, general thoughts from you two guys in the booth. We'll start with you, Nick. Just high arching feeling. He said Kool-Aid says devastated. Is that accurate for you?
I think I was one of these last night.
What the fuck?
When they were going off, we literally just had an utter meltdown. I feel like everybody knows that they had that game, and they just completely choked this game away. I think they were the better team in this game, and they just completely choked. That is the feeling I have right now. It is just total disappointment in these players on the biggest stage with that big lead. They just completely shut down and couldn't get the job done. It sucks to say about this team that I care and love so much for, and to see it on the national stage, to get to the Super Bowl, and to see them choke like the way they did. It was just a really tough watch. So, KG, how you feeling?
I'm like a parent when your kid do some wild shit, man. Like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Man, we had it, man, and it's tough because you cannot lose a 17-point lead in a NFC Championship game. I felt there was things in this game that could have helped our cause a lot. There's a lot of different ways you can point. People aren't wrong depending on whatever they choose, but we'll get into it. But yeah, just disappointment, man. I'm proud of my guys still. I don't want to be lost on that. They had a great season, a magical season, really, when you think about it. But it just sucks that it ended in this way when you saw that they were clearly the better team in this one to me. So yeah.
Yeah, so I've been talking all week that this team is not going to go to San Francisco or Santa Clara and be bullied by the 49ers. And in that first half, they were anything but being bullied. They were the bullies. They went in there and started on offense and just completely asserted their force. And that was so uplifting. Even before seeing how the rest of the first half played out, it was like, man, they're ready for this moment. Obviously, mistakes happen, but Kool-Aid, what was your feeling? We'll call it after the first quarter. You see this offense just driving, putting points on the board, touchdowns on the board.
Yeah.
You expect that? Were you uplifted at that moment?
I expected that, but on the reverse side, I knew we were also playing the San Francisco 49ers, who a week before found themselves in a similar position, not as down as much, but found themselves in a similar position, and they came back. And at halftime, my general feeling was like, what are we watching right now? Like, I was proud of our Lions, but it was like, you know what? You got to keep the foot on the pedal. The gas has to be pressed all the way down to the floor in every single facet of the game, from special teams to offense to defense, and honestly, to the mental part of it too. And that's where I think things kind of got a little out of sorts, because the Lions that we saw in the second half of that game is not the Detroit Lions that we know. That's just plain to see.
Yeah.
All season, even though they've had some struggles in the second half, particularly in those third quarters, they've still been a resilient team. They've still been able to go out there in those fourth quarters and lock down these games and come back and find a way to get these wins. I'm still saying they only have 4 losses this year. They won 21-20. They did that against the Dallas Cowboys. Asterisk game right there. But I was confident with this game going in, and the first half kind of validated my confidence, not in just who they were this year, but who they're going to be for the future as well. But for right now, this is about what happened against the 49ers and how that felt.
Yeah, and the second half was a complete turnaround. It was the complete opposite of what we saw in the first half. And I was thinking, as we've had about 24 hours to let this simmer a little bit. I was thinking, man, how hard it must be in practice to practice whatever feeling it must be being up. What was it? 24-10. How do you mimic that feeling of in the NFC Championship game having such a big lead against such a good team? Coaches put players in situations. They put this team in, the 2-minute drill. You're down by a couple scores, but there's no way you can reenact whatever that feeling must be having such a strong start. And sort of what we saw in the second half.
Yep.
was a complete letdown. It was a choke. It was a collapse. And this doesn't mean I'm bailing on my guys, but let's just call it what it is. This was the biggest comeback in NFC Championship history. There's no other way to look at it. They let them down. And we're going to get, and I'm going to go around to you guys, we're going to get into more detail about the poor decision making, but I want to know what you guys think or who you might put the blame on. But I'm going to start with what I think, and it might be a little bit different than what most people are thinking in a way. I blame Dan Campbell, but not for his individual decisions, not for the field goals, not for the going in on 4th down attempt and not kicking the field goals.
Tell me about it, man. I'm interested about this now.
Yeah, I look at the third quarter. That's been their kryptonite all season, hasn't it? They've not yet figured out how to come out of the locker room at halftime and have a great third quarter.
That's a big fact.
I think it might be 1 or 2 games they've looked okay, but to me, all of that just falls on the head coach. You got to figure out how to get your team ready for a second half. And the fact that he wasn't able to do that all season, I put that on him. So I basically I'm blaming the head coach because he deserves responsibility for everything. But I'm not going to be as hard on him for the decisions he's made that I've backed him all season. I disagree with a couple of them, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But my blame just comes on the general. How do you let this team not be ready for that second half? How have you not improved that over the season? Kool-Aid, what are your thoughts on that? Or do you have another point of blame? And it can be different from mine.
No, you know what? I'm glad that you actually said that, man. I think Dan Campbell, as the head coach, this team has had an identity all year. Some things good, some things bad. And I talked about in the open, their third quarters and some of their second half issues have been something that's been plaguing them the entire season. Now, look, anybody out there who want to say, oh, fire Dan Campbell,
Crazy.
Dan Campbell is the issue. Like, seeing this type of stuff all over social media has been one of the most maddening things because this guy is taking us to a place that none of you guys could have ever imagined. So let's just get that out the way right now.
Thank you.
Dan Campbell is the man. He's still Motor City, DC, man. It is what it is, man.
Talk to him.
But for this team to go to the next level, we have to see Dan Campbell make a jump as it relates to a coach. Like how we want to see these rookies take the next step. We wanted to see Jared Goff continue to prove like he has here. Dan Campbell has to continue to improve as well. That third quarter to me was one that I thought a lot of the play calling, especially with like almost an omission of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, those types of things cannot happen. I don't care if it's on the OC. I don't care if it's on the DC. Ultimately, it's on Dan Campbell, and it falls at his feet to make this thing better. Why? Because 49ers, the one thing I said on the stream, on the watch party stream was, you know what? I feel good about where the Lions are right now. How could you not? How could you not? But I knew that the 49ers were going to go in at halftime and make adjustments. And my one worry was that the Detroit Lions, they haven't made these same adjustments all year. And that, to me, was what was kind of worrisome. I saw the 3-score lead, and I still was sitting there like, man, to the point that I'm like, you know what? If Dan Campbell is who he is, we're going to defend the things that he does, even if we don't necessarily like it. I thought he should have went for 7 at the end of the first half.
Interesting.
I really do.
A lot of
I really
people
do.
had that sentiment.
I really do. That's what I'm saying. It's like don't second guess what you've done all year. I really thought at least go for it because this is the 49ers. They're not playing the Packers. They're not playing the Vikings. They're not playing the Buccaneers in the regular season. This was for all of the marbles. Stick to what you do best, especially if you know that your team kind of has this weakness coming out at halftime, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially considering that game plan or that thought of when you're in a fourth down situation. In the second half, they went for it, so why not stick to it in the first half? Yeah. I get it. I'm cool with taking the points. I was happy he did that. I thought he should have kicked the field goal in the second half, the first one in the second half. And again, we're going to get into it.
Yep.
I thought he should have gone for it on fourth down in the fourth quarter. I know a lot of people disagree with that.
Yep.
Nick, do you have any thoughts on anyone who deserves the blame or just any moments if you don't want to single anybody out, any moments that stand out?
I'm going to single somebody out.
And we're going to go into more detail about missed opportunities. So just high level, what are you thinking?
Okay, I won't go at Josh Reynolds, the wide receiver then. I'll save that for later. That's my public enemy right now. But I think you guys made great points on Dan Campbell. He needs to progress for this team to progress and get to that next level. And the third quarter, like you said, it's been all season long. We've just absolutely taken a stinker in the third. But one of the biggest decisions in my eyes that I actually agreed with, I liked going for that field goal there because if you don't get points, that completely gives the other coach the momentum if they would have got stopped on that fourth down there. So I actually like that they did kick the points. You just can't melt down in the third quarter the way they did. Yep. There's no excuse for that. Yep. I'm just disappointed.
KG, how about you?
Man, I'm with the thought that this is on Dan Campbell mostly. Like I said, there's a lot of areas that you can point to, and nobody would technically be wrong. But to me, it's just like, and I disagree with what Kool-Aid said. You in playoff situations as big as this, I'm not mad at the aggressiveness. The aggressiveness isn't the problem, but it has to be like Dan Campbell used these words a couple weeks ago. Controlled fury. It has to be more calculated. I'm all for wanting to put the 49ers out early, let them know, like put them out their misery. But you absolutely have to know when to take points. And to me, he made the right decision before the half, taking the 3 points. But even then, he hesitated a little bit, and and that kind of led into what happened in the second half. And it was just like, as soon as that Josh Reynolds 4th and 2 drop happened, the momentum completely swung. It was just a whole different ball game after that. So, yeah, just to me, this one's on Dan Campbell. We're going to get into it a little more, but just certain decisions made in this game, I felt like, set us back, especially when the 49ers started coming back and we couldn't stem the bleeding.
Yeah, and you used the word momentum there, and that's what kind of influenced me personally. I'm kicking a field goal in each one of the decisions, the times that Dan Campbell had the opportunity to make the decision. But the reason why I said going into the half, I would have went for 7 is because your team was playing good. Your team had a rhythm. Your team had the momentum. Your team was scoring touchdowns while you were keeping the other team just kind of in a box, bro, up on the shelf collecting dust. I personally would have said, you know what? We're in a groove right now, especially knowing that when you come out the half, you guys struggle. Now, is Dan Campbell thinking, hey, we're going to come
Freudian
out.
Slip there.
Hey. Is he thinking, hey, look, we're going to come out the half and we're just going to struggle? No. He's always going to try and put his best foot forward and think the best of his team. And that's why ultimately, and I like the way you put it, you said it's mostly on Dan Campbell, but realistically, the execution of the players, of his decisions, that combination is kind of what let them down. But the momentum, the second half of the game, when they decided to go for those, they didn't have the momentum. They weren't playing well. They were probably in their own heads, and I believe that the bigness of the moment caught up with them in the second half. I think in the first half, they were playing loose. I thought they were playing free. I thought that they were playing with confidence. And in the second half of the game, now you're asking them to make these big-time moments, these big-time plays and big-time moments against a big-time team. I just think that mattered, man.
Yeah.
It did. Whether you think the calls were right or not, it was the execution that was the difference on those 4th down plays. I mean, what's the difference between the death penalty and life without parole? Execution. It's execution, and at the end of the day, that's what has to happen. So we're gonna break down this first half here. So there's definitely going to be some positivity in this next segment before we get into the second half. Before we get there, though, Kool-Aid, could you tell the people about Lady Jane?
You know what? I can, man. I can tell the people where sometimes I feel like maybe get my beard shaped up because, up top just like,
can't do that.
Can't do that, man.
We brothers, we can't do that.
Yeah. Hey, but look, come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid. Suite for the 2024 NCAA tourney. That's right, no expenses spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Welcome back. This is a brand new night. This is Matt Broder here. I'm next to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Detroit Kool-Aid, Brandon
Appreciate
Dent.
you, brother.
We got in the booth. We got KG. We got Nick. This is your brand new Woodward night show.
Go.
To be determined. There's a lot of things going on with Woodward Sports. We're trying to find the right formula for the time being. Kool-Aid's going to be my man up here, so we're going to enjoy it. We're going to be talking Lions a lot today. Tomorrow we're going to be adding in some Pistons, some Red Wings, and you know what's coming up soon that I enjoy talking about? We got Tigers baseball coming up. So I think we got a pretty diverse team right here.
But do the people know why you would like Tigers baseball so much?
I think some people know. You guys know. You guys know. I have a little history playing the game of baseball. Chris Fetter, pitching coach. That was my senior on the team.
Wait, Chris Fetter was your pitching coach?
Yeah, he was a fifth-year senior when I was a freshman. And that was my guy. Like, I learned a lot from him. I can see why he's such a successful pitching coach.
Man, let's rock.
Let's rock. Unfortunately, I've been dreaming of the chance to host with Kool-Aid so we can talk piss. We can talk all these different sports. Tonight we're just talking lines. We got it. Yeah. We got it. This is the end of a historic season. We just got to keep talking.
Because this is the Woodward Sports beat writer supreme team right now, right?
That's right. That's right.
Let's go.
We got a Detroit Lions beat writer. We got a Detroit Pistons beat writer.
Pray for me, y'all.
There's a chance. You know what, Kool-Aid? While you're here, I think there's so much power, so much to be proud of in terms of covering a team that's going through it. You know, you've dealt with a lot this year, just having to deal with the Pistons struggling.
Yeah. It hasn't been the prettiest thing, but you know what? I think that ultimately is what helps to shape my my love for these Lions and what they did this year, man. I know that there's a lot of people who believe that they kind of failed, that they should be playing for a Super Bowl, and I feel that as well. But my perspectives are coming into the right alignment, and I do believe that this team is on the right path, man. Yeah. I really do.
I think all the teams are on the right path. Unfortunately, your Pistons might be that fourth team in terms of figuring out what their future is going to look like. But this is a good time to enjoy it, to be a Detroit sports fan, a loyal Detroit sports fan. We're going to have some good times over the next couple of years. But let's talk about this first half yesterday. Actually, you know what? Real quick, I appreciate all 139 of you in this chat.
Shout out.
If you could, we'd appreciate you hitting that like button. But your presence here is super appreciated. So this offense, 4 plays. First drive out of the gates against San Francisco, won the toss, deferred, allowed the Detroit offense to get the ball. They went down in 4 plays and put 7 on the board, culminating with the 42-yard end around to Jamison Williams, who you guys got to know. Nick has been calling for not just a JMO touchdown, but a JMO end around, a reverse. He was calling for it all week. Got to give you your props on that, Nick.
Let's go. Appreciate it. Yeah, we knew they were going to use JMO a little bit more, and I know we're going to be positive with this segment, so I'll be quick with this one. Why stop giving him the ball?
Yeah.
Every time he runs the ball, he goes for 40. And blows my mind. Ben Johnson, be better. That's what I got to say about that one. Really. But yeah, props or shout out for the show.
No, you're so right, and we're gonna break it down. We definitely got to talk about JMO as we keep going. But in this first half, it seemed like every time the Lions did something, or every time the 49ers answered, or the Lions were able to stop, they continued pushing. They continued adding points on the board. After Moody missed the field goal, the Lions took it back. They went on a 5-minute, 20-second drive, ending in a Montgomery touchdown. Lions gave up a McCaffrey touchdown after some scrambling by Brock Purdy before the Lions were forced to punt. And what happened after that? Rodrigo, big interception. That led to another Lions touchdown, a 15-yarder from Gibbs. It kept happening over and over again in this first half. This team, I believe, where's my note here? They controlled the ball for 18 minutes and 9 seconds for the first half. To me, outside of not turning the ball over, that was the key to the first half. They were not only rolling, but they were controlling the ball with both the run game and the pass game. Yeah. What do you think about that, Kool-Aid?
No, I mean, you're right. You're right. The first half was a perfect game plan. It was a perfect storm as well. Everything was going the Detroit Lions' way, including on defense, man. Everything you could have asked for. You couldn't have asked for a better start. And Dan Campbell had the guys ready to go to start that game. It seemed like, I know in that second half, the 49ers made some type of adjustment to stack the box and dare the Detroit Lions to beat them through the air. I still think you stick to your strengths in that second half, but in the first half, it was all there for them. And I am really hoping moving forward that JMO is a big part of just the offense. Yeah. Whether it's catching the ball, whether it's going deep, whether it's over the middle, whether it's short slants, whether it's in the run game, just make him a weapon all over the field, because he's continued to show that the more you include him, the more you involve him, the more this team has a completely different dynamic on offense. And to beat defenses, to kind of slow defenses, to kind of bust out of your own offensive slumps like they had in the second half of that game, I really believe that JMO should have been somebody that was utilized a lot more than he has been.
Yeah, I'm with you. And looking forward, the best part of that JMO end around to me was how he finished it. He got his jersey pulled. He had to make a couple. He showed that he's He's tough, and I
space,
believe
man.
that, and I know a lot of people were starting to learn that from his blocking. But to see him able to break some tackles, look at him with another off season with Jared Goff, another off season training, getting stronger. Sky's the limit for that guy. But what made it work so possible, that this offense was so balanced. They had 280 total yards versus the 49ers, 131 in the first half. 148 were rushing, 132 were passing. So it was a perfect blend of handing the rock off to David Montgomery, handing it off to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Slip.
What was that?
I said, there you go to 40 and
What
slip.
did I say?
Perfect blend. That's the second half. Perfect blend was the first half.
It was the little Duran Bland second half. It's true. They got away from this balance. The 49ers, whatever adjustment they made, forced them out of the run game. And we're going to talk about it. I don't necessarily know if it's Ben Johnson not calling the run plays. They weren't doing anything on first and second down with the plays that were called. But we will get into that. The fact that they were able to be so balanced, they only had one penalty for 15 yards. They had 18 first downs, 9 of which were passing, 9 of which were rushing. It was a perfect balance. KG, you could see the type of power Montgomery was running with, balanced so well with Gibbs on the outside. It was a special first half.
And they had absolutely no answer for the run game.
No.
That's why a lot of people are really preaching like you should have kept running the ball. They absolutely they bullied them for lack of better words on the line of scrimmage. And you was getting contributions from everywhere, man. Like it wasn't just the running game. It was also the passing game, the defense. They played a great opening half, man. Rodrigo, he needs to get a big shout out for stepping up in that Barnes spot.
Yes, sir.
Derek Barnes going down, but he did his thing, man. He was out there making plays, had a TFL too, along with the pick. And yeah, it's just, man, and that's why you just get so disappointed or frustrated about how it ended, because this first half was like the stuff of dreams. Like they really came out and they made their mark on this team early and let them know, like, hey, we not here to lay down, we not here to play with you, we're coming out aggressive. So man, but the first half, it's really not much you can really say about the first half. It was flawless.
It was nearly perfect. And I love that you brought up Rodrigo and the defense, because while the offense gets all the love, that defense did everything we could ever ask for. Getting a takeaway, shutting down the run. McCaffrey had 10 rushes for 29 yards. He did score a touchdown, but we knew McCaffrey was going to find the end zone. They were able to limit the rush, which forced Brock Purdy to have to be the one to make the plays in the first half and win. They were getting pressure up the middle on the interior line. When Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston or whoever was on the edge, they were getting pressure in that first half. Aiden Hutchinson didn't get home, but he had 2 huge passes batted down at the line of scrimmage that really forced them into third and long situations in the first half. He made a huge difference. It changed a little bit in the second half, but Aiden Hutchinson was a part of that, masterful first half that I think led and maybe caused Dan Campbell to get into his head a little bit, think whether it's a little too confident in the defense in terms of his decision making or something else. The defense showed up, the offense showed up, and they went to the half with a monster lead, with a 17-point lead over the 49ers, having just worked the ball down the field. A nice long drive culminating in that field goal, but going up 17.
Yeah, because to go into that half, they did exactly what we wanted them to do. We were sitting here at the watch party saying, yo, can they really, really, really ice this last 5 minutes of the half out with a long drive and put up any type of points on the board? And to be able to see them do that, it was like, yo, it wasn't even the stuff of dreams necessarily. You know, who dreams that you're going to be up that big in the NFC Championship game as a Detroit Lion fan? But to know kind of who Dan Campbell is, to see the best of this team throughout the year, I knew that they had the recipe to do that. You have 2 dynamic backs. You had J-Mo going. You had Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And honestly, this entire playoffs, Jared Goff has been in his bag. He's been, honestly, on one of the best streaks as just a guy leading this team that I've seen him in a Detroit Lions uniform, man. Just straight up. You couldn't have asked for anything more in this first half. I don't know what else you could have asked for. Like I said, I'm not going to, whether you kick the field goal or go for the 6 at the end of the half, it doesn't matter. This team was in prime position to win this game, and they did everything right that they needed to be in position in that first half.
And Kool-Aid, did you have a feeling that maybe you didn't expect what was going to happen in the second half, but that at some point the 49ers, as good as they are, they're going to go on a run? You just expected the Lions to be able to answer?
I did expect the Lions to be able to answer. I thought with the amount of points that were there, as good as we saw them play in that first half, that they had enough to at least put up a few points here and there and be able to keep the 49ers honest. I thought it was going to be a close game in the end, whether they were up big at halftime or not. And ultimately, they had an opportunity to make it that. They did. It was right there in the bag for them. And this is the type of stuff that I hope, the same way they were able to take that Dallas game and use it as fuel, I'm hoping, because this one is a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
This one is about how it landed in their hands and how they fumbled it. The Dallas game is one where you could look and say, hey, well, that got taken from us. This is one where I think people go and they look in the mirror personally and they say, I will be better.
Yes.
I will be better. I'm going to come back next year and I'm going to be exactly what Dan Campbell and the city of Detroit can depend on to execute when we most need it. And that's what I'm looking forward to out of this Detroit Lions team, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. Unfortunately, that second half collapse did happen, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. Kool-Aid, could you tell the viewers about Big Boy?
Yeah, man. Look, wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. And maybe after this Detroit Lions loss, man, find yourself over at Big Boy's and try the Veal Parmigiano or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack or Santa Fe Garde. Also, new apple pie hot cakes that are too good to miss. Top it all off with the new gingerbread shake for dessert. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and you offer more products to more people, and that's exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. They still have the same great service that customers have come to know and trust. They're still located on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile, or you can check them out in Dearborn today. So find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. Oh, yeah, we're back. We're back. I got Kool-Aid by my side. Let's
go.
We got Nick in the booth. We got
Let's
KG in the booth.
go.
And this
What up?
right now is the brand new
Nice.
Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate all 137 of you.
Hey,
I
definitely.
appreciate you guys for being
Smash
here.
that like,
If you
man.
hit that like button. It could really help
Please.
us out. But we're going to get into the second half. A little bit of a somber attitude, but we have to talk about it. This is what the Lions have to think about all offseason. This is what has to motivate them to be better next year. We can be all positive. We can talk about the optimism. We got Penei Sewell coming back, but we gotta right this ship.
Yeah.
The season ended tough. It ended in the second half. The 49ers came out of the gates doing exactly what they needed to do to chip away at this lead. They moved it down the field, about a 4-minute drive, got a field goal from Jake Moody, who had missed in the first half.
Yeah.
They get 3 points to chip away at that lead, hand the ball back to the Lions, and the Lions have an opportunity. This is where it all starts. They have an opportunity to go and continue that offensive explosion, put points on the board. There was a 4th down attempt. It was the one that Josh Reynolds, he missed, 4th and 2. The play before, 3rd down, Amon-Ra St. Brown, they had a really well-designed run play to St. Brown in the backfield. He got through the gap, and he had a hole. It could have been a 10, 15, 20-yard gain. Fred Warner came out of nowhere and just shut it down, forcing this 4th down. And what do? They decide to go for it instead of kick what would be about a 48-yard field goal. Unfortunately, as we know now, fell out of the hands of Josh Reynolds, turns it back over. 49ers go right back down.
Beginning of the end.
I believe it was. This next drive was the interception off Vildor's helmet. Brandon Ayuk catches it, 51-yard pass. Eventually, Brandon Ayuk catches a 6-yard touchdown pass. Very next drive after that is the fumble from Gibbs. So this first half of the second half, I think, changed everything for this game. It allowed the 49ers right back into it, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but in this second half, there were so many things. All the breaks seemed to go the way of the 49ers, including Jennings, that one-handed catch.
Yeah.
You guys remember that when Purdy
Juwan
was
Jennings,
Juwan Jennings was kind of fading left, turned around, threw back across his body, kind of lofted it up, and he literally had to jump as high as he could and came down with the catch. Jack Campbell made a heck of a tackle, and it was just like, everything is really going to go their way. And you know what? I expect those types of things. Just the same way we saw everything go to Detroit Lions' way in the first half, I expected the 49ers to come out and kind of have some luck, some success, some game plan, some things they control, and some things that, the Lions are going to have to catch up to. The one thing that I thought, though, that the Lions did not have covered up. Some of these other things you live with, right? You're going to expect C-Mac to do his thing. You're going to expect Debo to do his thing. You're going to expect us to have some issues defending some of these wide receivers. You're going to have some issues as it relates to going up against a really good 49ers defense. But what's been the Detroit Lions defense Achilles heel all season? It's been running quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks. I don't know how many times, bro, I saw the Lions had this thing contained, and they either couldn't complete the sack of Brock Purdy, or they just lost containment, and they let him get up the field, not just for 5 yards, they got the first down. This man was running all over the field, it seemed like. I was like, at one point in time, we were in here wondering, is he going to really, really go out there and outrush Christian McCaffrey to really be the dagger against the Detroit Lions? Because they had this team. They had them. They had them. In a couple of those plays, he was able to extend with his legs. I feel like if just one of those first downs he picked up on the ground failed, or if they were able to stop him, or if they got just one extra sack, I still feel like this game, no matter any of the other decisions that were made, because everything else, to me, was normal. The first half of the game, the second half of the game, the decisions that were made from the head coaching spot, I thought whether they work, whether they fail, those were normal aspects of what we're used to seeing from the Detroit Lions. But I don't know how many people thought Brock Purdy was going to go out there and rush for 30, 40,
48 yards.
48 yards. How many of those came in the second half? I feel like almost all of them.
I think about all of them.
That's what I'm saying. He went out there and looked like freaking Justin Fields, man, in that second half. And that ultimately, to me, is what did the Detroit Lions in. You got to make sure that you keep an eye and you keep Brock Purdy in containment, because when they forced him to be a passer, he looked exactly how we talked about all last week. They were able to get to him. They were able to get the quarterback hits, and some of his passes started to sail just a little bit. Some of his passes were just off the mark a little bit. But when you let him get out there and start running and start getting that confidence, then all of a sudden his passes started to be a little bit more on the mark. The Lions started laying less hits on Brock Purdy, and this whole entire team seemed to take the same shift that he did in confidence. The 49ers, their entire team took that shift as well. Now, instead of seeing them frustratedly chirping like they were in the first half, now all of a sudden they're walking around like, yo, we're the ones at home right now. We're the ones who've been here. We're the ones who know how this goes. We're the ones who already been down in the playoffs and have come back. I thought that allowing Brock Purdy's confidence to go up is what ultimately helped the 49ers kind of turn this tide, and it put the Detroit Lions on their heels, because what goes through a defense's mind when you know, whoa, we've covered everything. We got the wide receivers covered. We got the tight ends covered. We keeping Christian McCaffrey under check, and then Brock Purdy springs one for 10 yards, 12 yards down
21 yards. He had a few.
Field. Yeah.
And it seemed like every time he was scrambling, they were big momentum-shifting plays. Like you talked about the Juwan Jennings one on third down. There was the one he scrambled another third down play through the fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, who makes the incredible tiptoe catch at the sideline. A fullback. Yes, he's an all-pro. Yes, he's the best fullback in the game. Don't get me wrong. But that's a total game shifter. Then he had a 21-yard rush. That was his biggest scramble of the day. It set up the Christian McCaffrey Actually, it wasn't a Christian McCaffrey touchdown. He then scrambled for rushed for 25 yards, setting up Elijah Mitchell 3-yard touchdown run. But those plays were massive. Ify Melifonwu on that first one just missed bringing Brock Purdy down, and they capitalized. When we made a mistake, they capitalized. It wasn't something that the Lions were able to capitalize on any 49ers mistakes. Not that they were making them in the second half, but it continued, man. Nick, I want to ask you about that second half. Were there... Actually, I'll preface it like this. I thought this game was a lot like the New Orleans Saints game earlier in the year, where they came out to a really hot start. They started to falter in the second half, and whether you want to blame Derek Carr being injured or something else, the Lions made the plays when it counted. Josh Reynolds made a huge catch. Funny how that works. Sam Laporta made a huge catch, I believe on 4th down or 3rd and long. And this game, it didn't happen. So the Lions just didn't make those plays in the second half.
Yeah, in my eyes, that Vildor interception, you make that play, you win this game. And I feels like there was like 3 different plays that really stood out. I mean, both the Josh Reynolds catches stood out to me personally. And then that Vildor, how do you not catch that effing ball? And then the other guy gets it. It was just the worst, like, football luck in a sense. So that was really that was alarming that he did not make that play. And another point Kool-Aid alluded to, Brock Purdy rushing. 5 rushes, 48 yards. Like, what are we doing here? It's been all season. Why can we not have Jack Campbell spying Brock Purdy? Because we draft a linebacker that high for a reason. You think you would have faith in him. In the game before the Super Bowl, to change up your defensive scheme, defensive game plan, and Brock Purdy's elusiveness just showed, and we got burnt by that in the second half, time after time after time. So,
100%. Do any of you guys think I'm crazy for saying that the second Josh Reynolds drop was a bigger play?
Yeah.
On 3rd down, it was about 3rd down and 10.
Yeah.
For a big first down.
I would agree. It was 3rd and 10. Goff put it right on the money, and you wanted him to kind of make up for that 4th and 2 drop. And he just didn't have it, man. It hit him right in the hands, and he just did not have it. But that was a big play in the game. It's just so many plays you can point to. Amon-Ra had a drop in the second half, a crucial drop. Like, and to me, Ben Johnson gets a little bit of this blame too, because some of the play calling was a little bit too conservative for my taste, especially when you consider. I know you talked about time of possession in the first half. The Lions had 5 offensive possessions in the second half, I believe. Yep. And 2 of them, one was the fumble and the other one was a 3-and-out. Yep. So yeah, you can't have those type of mistakes, man, when the game is getting crunched like that. But I also felt like Dan Campbell in that 4th and 2 spot, if he takes the points there, the first fourth down I'm not mad at, but if he takes the points there, you're still widening your lead. You're getting back to a 17-point lead after they answered with a field goal. So, and that one there is crucial. But the second one is even more egregious to me, because you have to stop the bleeding. You were down 27-24. You kick the field goal there. You tie the game up, and if they go score the touchdown like they did, later on in the drive, then that last drive, you're playing for the tie instead of trying to get a touchdown plus another possession. So that one was the real big one to me. But yeah, just execution all around was just not good from an offensive or defensive standpoint.
You're so right, and we're going to dig into those Dan Campbell, the 4th down calls here in the next segment. But to answer your time of possession, or to clarify, because you were right, 5 possessions in the second half went turnover on downs, fumble, punt, turnover on downs, and the late touchdown to J-Mo. 49ers, field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. Jesus. Unstoppable. And when you think, what was my number in the first half? They held it. The Lions had the ball for 18 minutes and 9 seconds. Yeah. And the second half was 9 minutes and 39 seconds.
Time of possession, it just flipped. Everything flipped, man. And it's you had to expect that this was going to happen. That's what I'm going to continue to go back to. These 49ers, they're a real solid team. All week leading up to it, man, we all knew this team is going to be legit. It's the number 1 team in the NFC. But I did believe that our Detroit Lions deserved to be there as well. They were the number 2 team. But what you saw out there was the experience of being there versus the experience of having not been there. When those moments and those bright lights got the brightest, that's when you started to see the Detroit Lions start to crack under the pressure just a little bit, and it cost them. It really did. I was happy to see J-Mo in that second half, kind of late in that second half, come back to life a little bit. Obviously, the touchdown. He had that catch where he saved it from being an interception as well. I thought, man, as it relates to what you take away from this game, or from that second half at least, because there wasn't a lot to like, I thought that Jared Goff was the man. I thought that J-Mo showed us something. I really did, man. Those two there, personally, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, that's where I was at, man. That's where I was at, man. You talk about, can you ask for a better playoff run from Jared Goff?
No.
Yeah.
No. And people are going to compare it to Brock Purdy. And rightfully so. Brock Purdy's legs helped him evade some sacks. It allowed him to extend plays that Jared Goff just couldn't do. So people are going to talk about that. But when you look at the bigger picture, that was the guy who led us. He didn't have a single turnover this postseason, and that's what everyone we were calling for. If he doesn't play, if he plays turnover-free football, the Lions have a very, very good chance to win, and they almost did. It was a turnover that played a part in costing them this game. So let's talk more about these decisions, some of the missed opportunities. We're going to air out some of our final grievances with this game before we get a little positive. But Kool-Aid, real quick, what I'm glad you brought up, and Chuck Brewer said it in the chat. Broder, we also need to give San Francisco credit for making plays in the second half. It's like people forget they're the number one seed. Yeah. He's so right there, and Big M followed up. It seems like San Fran went into halftime and juiced up, and our Lions took naps. I'm with you, and that's why I think when we talk about it next, I think you got to kick that field goal, that first one out of the half, because Jake Moody and the 49ers had just got their first points on the board of the second half. If you can even it out, if you can match what they did, they're playing whatever speech Kyle Shanahan gave at halftime, they're in the exact same scenario, but with 8 minutes off the clock. They have 22 minutes to then go and make a 17-point comeback. Yeah. So psychologically, I think you got to take the points. But we're going to dig more deeper into those here in the next segment. Let me tell you about Dispo, because you still have a chance while the Lions, unfortunately, are not headed to Vegas. You can still end up seeing the big game in Vegas. Experience Dispo Dispensary, who's giving out 2 tickets plus hotel and flight accommodations to this year's big game in Vegas. Go on Dispo's Instagram page at dispo.michigan and follow the directions in the pinned post. Let's get you Detroit Lions fans, you Detroit sports fans to Vegas. It's going to be a blast. Head to Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com. They are your local cannabis plug.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists, and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
What up, Woodward Sports? Dispo Dispensary is bringing the ultimate experience for the big game in Vegas, and they want you there. You can win 2 tickets to the big game, plus a flight, hotel, and accommodations by following these simple steps. First, follow dispo.michigan, @showmedicated, and @showmedicatedcbd on Instagram. Like Dispo's pinned post, comment and tag someone you love to bring. Plus, if you repost on your story, you get an extra entry. It's that easy. Join the Dispo family for a chance to score in Vegas. The big game awaits. Follow, like, tag, and repost now.
Welcome back. This is Woodward Nights. This is actually a brand new night. I'm here with my guy Kool-Aid. Detroit Kool-Aid, Brandon
What's up, brother?
What's up?
Look, man, it's still Lions to the death of me, man. I still love them.
This is just the beginning.
It is.
This is just the beginning. I know there's a smile on my face. We're about to talk about all the bad stuff that happened. Missed opportunities, poor decisions, as some people think. Was this loss a choke job? Was this a choke job? I know I was confident in the first half calling it. Call this a collapse. Was this choke? Did they choke? Or do you look at it a different way?
Look, earlier I did call it a choke job. I do. I think that when you have that type of opportunity to put a team away and you play as well as you did and you have that big of a lead, you have to call it a choke job. Do I think that this Lions organization is going backwards? No, I don't. I don't think that what happened in the second half is an indictment on where this team will wind up. I think it's an indictment on what this team was this year in terms of their ceiling. That's why I think it's just a little bit of a choke job, because I think they played above what their ceiling was in the first half, but the second half looked a lot more like what we've been accustomed to as the year kind of went on. So it was a choke job. It obviously leaves you a little bit devastated. Very big disappointment, but ultimately I don't think this is going to be something that influences what this team does moving forward.
I agree, and I think it's just going to fuel them. Nick, did they choke?
100%. This was a complete and utter choke job by the Detroit Lions. You think about Gibbs fumbling. You think about Reynolds, 2 big drops. You think about a St. Brown drop, a Laporta drop. You think about Kendall Vildor having a ball go off his goddamn face, and the other team for the big catch. This is 100% a choke job. J-Mo off the flea flicker, just a step short, through his hands. 100% choke job. There's no other way around it. Coaching, choke job. Every way around it, this second half was the worst half of football I've ever seen a team play. And sad to say that it was our Detroit Lions doing the choking there. So, 100% a choke job by the Detroit Lions.
KG, I'm posing the same question to you.
What else do you call it? Like, seriously.
I don't know, and I don't want to take a shot at Neil. He was the first person I heard say, no, this wasn't a choke job. This wasn't a collapse because they overachieved. And I don't want to say the wrong word. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he didn't call it a choke job, and he had some pretty good reasons for it.
I feel it, but that's a way of sugarcoating the inevitable. This is the worst second half collapse, definitely in NFC Championship history. And it just. You cannot. I once again go back to, it's the NFC title game. Every mistake is amplified. It counts for double when you get in spots like this, and you just absolutely cannot give up a 17-point lead coming out of the half, man. Especially considering that they did move the ball on that first drive out of the third quarter, and they couldn't get it done. The failed fourth down, and it was downhill from there. So. Man, I don't know what else you can really call this. It's a choke job, a meltdown, whatever you want to call it. That's not to say that they won't be better for it, going forward, but it's just, man, they dropped the ball on this one. They had this game won, point blank, period.
Yeah. So the two that stick out, and I'm going to pose the question to you guys again, like, do you agree with Dan Campbell's decision making? The first one on fourth down, they were ahead. They were up 24-10 midway through the third quarter. The second decision, they were down 3. They were losing 27-24 midway through the fourth quarter. Do you agree with Dan Campbell going for it, knowing the outcome as it stands today?
Listen, I'm not going to apologize for Dan Campbell being Dan Campbell. If I was the guy on the sideline, I might have done something different, but Dan Campbell stuck to what Dan Campbell does. And honestly, if you hire a coach and you think he is that guy, there are going to be times when you want that person to be able to improve upon his mistakes. But I don't even believe that was a mistake. I don't know if the Lions are even in this position if Dan Campbell all year wasn't that type of coach. There are games that they won on this record, and part of that 12 wins that put them in a position to be able to host the first playoff game that they secured and be in a position to potentially host the second playoff game at home. It was because of that same Dan Campbell, the same guy who all year he went out there, and there were big drives this year that were extended and allowed the Detroit Lions to pull away some big wins because he decided, listen, we're going for it here. Does it cost you every now and then? It does. But when you look at his percentages, and you know what? A lot of people, I saw somebody earlier in the morning, Woodward show say, and they called in and they were like, you know what? This is the playoffs. This ain't Madden. You don't do this in the playoffs. In the playoffs is when you tighten things up and you go for the points. And I'm like, you know what? I feel that. I really do. If it was me, I'm probably like you know, maybe these 3 points put a little bit more pressure on the Niners. But how many people remember when the Detroit Lions played the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs? How many people remember that? Do y'all remember that playoff matchup? Because that's the coaching tree that Dan Campbell came by way of, right? Now, if you don't do this in the playoffs, why did the Lions lose to a team that never punted one freaking time? And if if the Saints would have punted one time in that playoff matchup, man, I believe that the Lions win that game. They played the numbers, they played it to their strengths, and their players simply executed. This was Sean Payton, and we all look at him as one of the best offensive play callers and minds in this entire NFL. This is the tree that Dan Campbell has come from. He has seen this work, and he believed in his guys. That's what Jared Goff said. They asked Jared Goff about the fourth down calls as well, and he stated it. He said, you know what? No, we love it. I love it. It shows that he believes in us. And I believe that if you know you have a coach like that, don't come to this team or walk yourself off this team if you don't believe that you're up for the challenge to execute it. So for me personally, even though I would have done something different, I don't want to see Dan Campbell cower. I don't want to see Dan Campbell walk backwards. I don't want to see Dan become somebody that he's not. I want to see him continue to put his best foot forward, do what he was trained and taught to do underneath some of the best coaches in this league, and continue to press forward, man. Listen, when it doesn't work, obviously, you're going to be the person to sit up there and have to take that responsibility. But whose broad shoulders would you want taking that responsibility more than anybody else's, man?
Him.
It's Dan Campbell.
It's Dan Campbell. And you know he's going to.
Yeah.
You know his team has his back. He knows he might question the decisions now knowing the outcome, but he was what we've learned about Dan Campbell all year. And you talked about coming from that coaching tree. That's how he learned to approach football, whether it's analytical, emotional, whatever it is. He's a guy who's also proved that he can learn from his mistakes. He's developed so much over the season. Something like this is just 3 more games of playoff experience that Dan Campbell gets to use for next year. He gets to learn from this. They're going to be back. I'm confident that they're going to be back. It's not going to be easy, but they will be back. Dan Campbell will be better for this. What's up, KG?
And I understand the point Kool-Aid trying to make, and I do it's not like, I don't agree with Dan Campbell's aggressiveness going forward. That's still my coach. I still trust him in moments like these, but I feel like you just have to be more calculated. Saying that, okay, he's aggressive, this is how we got to this point, I feel like that's just kind of excusing him from the moment. You have to treat each moment like, as its own, entity, man. And it just wasn't the right decision, especially the second one, when you've lost the momentum now. And you have to stop the bleeding. If you get 3 points there, like I said, you can the end of the game drive, that's playing for the tie at that point, and you're still in the game as opposed to going for it, and you still got to get the onside kick. But I just feel like that's taking some of the heat off of him for the moment. Yeah. We have to judge him by each individual call, and that just wasn't the right call in that moment when you're down 3 and you need some kind of something at that point, because you lose the fourth down there, they come back, score another touchdown, now you're really out the game, and I just feel like, yes, we appreciate Dan's aggressiveness, yes, it's got us this far, but we just have to hold him accountable for not making the right call in the right moment. I just feel like we needed points in that specific moment of the game. Momentum had completely swung at that point.
And KG, since we were talking before the show and hearing you again explain that, you're starting to change my mind. And I probably took the opposing view of most people on the second fourth down attempt, thinking that they couldn't really stop the 49ers in that second half. So if they can extend that drive, which was around the 5-minute mark, go down and hypothetically, we're dealing with hypotheticals, get a touchdown, put the pressure on them, they would have been up 4 with less than 4 minutes to go. I like how that sounds.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up that way.
Yeah, and I agree with you, too. I agree with you. Me personally, I'm like, you know what? Take the points. And that's why I tried to make sure I separated it.
Yeah.
Because I know this. I feel like Dan Campbell was kicking himself all season for the Seattle game when he took the field goal. I really do. Instead of sticking to his guns and doing what he does best, I believe that those types of decisions play in his mind as well, because there have been games that we lost when they decided to take the 3. It's just this one happened on the biggest stage for him. Yeah. It's going to be underneath a bigger magnification glass, and that's where it's going to be like, yo, just take the points because you had the lead. It seemed like you had the game in the bag. Maybe it changes up what the 49ers have to game plan, the way that they do their play calling and whatnot. So I do agree with you. If it was me on that sideline, I'm taking the 3, but I'm also not Dan Campbell, and I haven't seen too many coaches in this NFL that have been like him.
Yeah. And just another quick point, I can understand if Michael Badgley had been terrible the whole playoff run. He's been on the money the absolute whole playoff run. That's why I posed the question in the Would You Rather about the coaching decision late in the game, because these are the type of decisions that get you to a Super Bowl. You have to know when and where to be aggressive. I'm not saying don't stop being aggressive. Of course not. That's who he is, and that's why we love him. But you just have to be more smart in moments like that and just gauge where your team is at. And I just feel like he didn't have a good pulse of where the team was at that current moment.
I do feel like it's less than smarts versus not smarts. I think it's more philosophy versus not philosophy, and those things change in the off season. Those things you don't necessarily go and you take your philosophy that's gotten you to that point and say, "No, I don't trust these players anymore," because that's ultimately what they all stated. It was about the execution and less about the decision. It's like if it was any other coach, I'm literally on that path.
You can take the 3 and still trust your players, though. The kicker is one of the players, But and like I said, he's been good throughout this playoffs. I don't understand. We needed him for that 54-yarder that he made. What was that, the Rams game?
Yeah.
If without that 54-yarder, we do not win that game.
But Josh Reynolds has been more dependable and more trustworthy in this playoffs than the kickers. That's the whole thing of it. We're not even in this point if Josh Reynolds wasn't what he was the first 2 weeks of the playoffs.
That's true. I get you.
And that's where I'm at. It's like if I'm the coach sitting on the sideline, this is my philosophy all year. This has been my philosophy since I've gotten here. The season when they went 9-8, it's because they decided, we're going to press the issue. The first half of that season, they didn't press the issue. And I feel like that type of stuff bugs Dan Campbell. I really do. And so that, at least for me, it's like if I try and put myself in the place of Dan Campbell, I kind of understand where he's at. If I put myself in the place of like a Detroit Lions fan who kind of wants to play this thing safe, play this thing to our guns, put some points up there on the board, that's why I'm in complete agreement with you. That's why I'm in complete agreement with you. But when you're sitting here looking, you're like, oh, we got Josh Reynolds. Yeah, run the play to him. He's been that guy who's gotten us the big touchdowns, who's gotten us the big first downs, who's picked up some big plays for us all playoffs. Let's ring it up. In that huddle, when you're making that decision to say, let's go for this right here, right now, I don't think anybody on that Detroit Lions team thought Josh Reynolds is going to drop this pass. I don't think anybody. I don't even think he thought it was a thing. I believe when he's sitting there looking at it, he's probably like, even if Badgley's 90%, even if I thought he would 90% hit this field goal, I think Josh Reynolds is 100% at getting us a better look at a field goal or getting us into the end zone. And that's at least from the process of it all, that's what I believe was going on with Dan Campbell. And that's what makes this thing so tough.
It does.
I do believe, though, the philosophical aspect of it, I do believe it has to change. Me personally, I want him to be a little less.
You got to adjust on the fly. That's my point. Sometimes you got to just realize where you're at in the moment. Read the room, so to say.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, and the play worked. Yeah. And Josh Reynolds dropped it. They continue to go at him later in the game. He dropped another ball, but they continue to go at him after that. And I think that shows the trust in Josh that they had in Josh Reynolds. I don't even know. And Nick, I'm coming to you. You might have another answer, but I'm thinking his choice to not kick the field goal wasn't because he didn't trust Badgley. It was because he trusted Josh Reynolds more. He trusted that was his philosophy, like you said. Versus, I don't believe this guy can make a 48-yarder. They were going for it on fourth that whole drive or that whole series, which is why they ran it with Amon-Ra St. Brown on 3rd down and 5. Nick, what do you have to say?
Yeah, the thing that's questionable to me is the timeout, using the first of their 3 timeouts on that 4th down, I believe it was, or 3rd or 4th down. Your team needs to be ready and know what play you're going to do in that situation, because not having that timeout at the end, it's do or die on the onside kick.
Oh, that was crucial.
It completely takes out the game. So for them to take a timeout on offense, that's what pisses me off. That's not even going for it or not going for it. That is inexcusable from your head coach, because you have the ability to get 3 stops on that following drive and get the ball back. I don't care if it's 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it would be.
Yeah, that was his worst decision.
That's still a chance to win the game, and Dan Campbell called a timeout, and it was inexcusable there on offense.
I agree with that. I agree with that, KJ.
That was his worst decision of the game, point blank.
You got to pass there. You got to figure out how to get back to line of scrimmage without using up a timeout. You have that missed opportunity leading up to that. Ferksker, the tight end, stepping just on the out-of-bounds line at the 2-yard line. He should have been in the end zone. That's 25, 30 more seconds that they had to play with all 3 timeouts. Yeah, there's a whole list.
And Corey Berry, he said what? So every 4th and 3 moving forward, we got to kick the field goal. I think more to what KG's point is that in a situation like that where it's do or die, it's in the biggest game of the season, I think sometimes you do have to be able to sit back a little bit, assess the moment, and then make your decision from that standpoint. And that's what I'm saying from a philosophy standpoint. Not that Dan Campbell doesn't kick next year, but that he gives himself more of an opportunity to actually go through the decision-making process of, you know what, maybe we take the points because of what this moment is. If it's in a regular season, maybe you have a little bit more to play with and see what your team actually is as it relates to these situations. But in that moment, trust me, I get exactly what you're saying, brother.
You had no momentum, and that was my biggest argument. If you had the momentum, it's different, but
I agree with
you
that.
down 3.
I agree with that.
You did. When we come back, we're going to be handing out grades to all the players and to all the coaches, actually all the positional units. So come back. We need chat interaction on this next segment. But let me tell you about Jack Labrador first.
Tell me about it.
Because, and this is an important message, an important first section of this read. RIP to the same old Lions. That is gone. That is still gone. No matter what happened yesterday, that is gone because of Sheila, because of Brad, because of Dan. They put them to rest. This is a brand new team. You know what else has found the grave? Rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador has revolutionized that tired game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. So discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why once you go Jack, you never go back.
And bro, tell the good people about our jersey giveaway.
Yeah, Ken, we got a big-time jersey giveaway from Siroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. We're going to give you an Aiden Hutchinson jersey and $500 catered to the big game. We call it the big game event here on February 11th. To enter, all you got to do, follow Woodward Sports and Siroki's CCP, share the giveaway post, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Easy enough, right? Go get your jersey, go get your $500, and let's go.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
What up, Woodward Sports? Dispo Dispensary is bringing you the ultimate experience for the big game in Vegas, and they want you there. You can win 2 tickets to the big game, plus a flight, hotel, and accommodations by following these simple steps. First, follow dispo.michigan, @ShowMedicated, and @ShowMedicatedCBD on Instagram. Like Dispo's pinned post, comment and tag someone you love to bring. Plus, if you repost on your story, you get an extra entry. It's that easy. Join the Dispo family for a chance to score in Vegas. The big game awaits. Follow, like, tag, and repost now.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Do you have football on the brain still? Even after that loss last night, I hope you do. It's still a great time to enjoy football. We got all kinds of sports coming down the pipe too. But it's also a perfect time to shop for your home and auto insurance. So shop it like a pro at Swiss Insurance. They cover us here at Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you. So shop or ask Mark at SwissINS.com today or call 248-800-4177. We are back, and this is the brand new Nights show. This is it. This is Woodward Nights. We got Broder. That's me, Matt Broder. I'm a beat writer for Woodward Sports covering the Detroit Lions. We got Detroit Kool-Aid, a.k.a. Brandon Dent, or Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, beat writer for the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, sir.
And as always, we got the legendary Nick in the sound booth.
Let's go,
and
baby.
KG in the TD booth. This
Know
is
what
the
it
crew
is.
we having ourselves a night. We're about to play teacher. We're about to play professor. We're gonna hand out some grades. But first, if you guys would help us out by hitting that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm gonna start out and pose the question to you guys. What grade would you give in this game, this one game, not the whole playoffs? Quarterback Jared Goff. I'm gonna start with you, Kool-Aid.
I can't give anybody an A in a loss like that. I believe everybody has some blame to go around. There were some passes obviously in that second half that he left out there, but I don't think that he was the problem either. So I'm going to have to go with a B+. I was going back and forth between B+, A-, B+, A-. I got to go with a B+, man.
All right, Nick, what about you? Quarterback Jared Goff.
I think he deserves that A-. Kool-Aid. I'm going with the A- here. I think the one where he got out of the pocket and couldn't get the ball downfield, it was just a duck, and we really needed that play, so that's where the A- comes in. But he put the ball on the receiver's hands. It's not his fault that they dropped the passes. Specifically you, Josh Reynolds. KG.
I'm with the homie Kool-Aid on this B+. Out of all the things that went wrong, he is the least. He's at the very bottom of the list. He played a clean game. That's all we can ask of him. But players got to make plays and receivers got to catch passes. So B+.
Without a doubt. I actually have a B+ as well. I thought he played a good game. It wasn't his best game of the year.
Wasn't spectacular.
He didn't do anything to hurt the team.
Yeah, he didn't cost him at all.
No, he just
got the
didn't.
job done.
He didn't shine. Maybe I'm thinking too much how Brock Purdy was able to just put them over the top a little bit in that second half. I do think a little more time if Jared Goff. He led that final drive down to the touchdown to Jamison Williams. So a little more time, maybe it's different. But I'm gonna give it a B+. How about we're gonna go to that running back duo of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs? Kool-Aid. What grade would you give those two?
I got to go with a B. First half, if they would have even if they lost that game, but if they kept up what they did in the first half production-wise, it would have been a solid A, maybe even an A+. But I got to go with a B because of what happened in that second half.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's on more, and I know that you said we'll get there. We'll get to the coaches, but I'll give them a B.
All right. Nick, what about you? David Montgomery, 15 rushes, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches, 20 yards. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 rushes, 45 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 catches, 11 yards, but a fumble.
You know what?
The fumble was big. I'm going with a B- here because of that
fair.
fumble.
Yeah.
David Montgomery showed up. This was the best game he's had all season, it felt like. And Jahmyr Gibbs, a rookie, made a rookie mistake. And he's been that elite player for this team all year. But you can't excuse a fumble in the biggest game of your career. Jahmyr Gibbs, B-. Just too bad it happened in this game.
Good take, KG.
I hope it doesn't
That's
take
fair.
anything away from the amazing season that Gibbs has had or any confidence moving forward.
Yeah.
That, the yips or something with these fumbles.
And for
But
everyone
I think
watching,
we'll be good.
we're going to be giving grades, season-long grades to everyone. This is just the San Francisco 49ers game. You gave a B-. You gave a B, Kool-Aid. KG, what do you got?
A solid B. And it would have been an A if not for the fumble. And also, I don't, D-Mont had a good game. I don't blame them completely for the game that happened. I think Ben Johnson deserves a little bit of blame from kind of shying away from the run game in the second half, especially when it was working to the effect that it worked in the first half. So give me a B total for both backs.
Hey, I'm right there at a B as well. This running back group, they had great stats when you just look at it from a statistical perspective, but you can't deny how important that fumble was. That was
Huge.
Arguably the biggest difference maker, one of the biggest, top 3.
Yeah, because you gave him the ball in the red zone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a lot. They put up 14 points so fast on the Lions in that second half. What I forgot to mention when talking about the quarterback, I think the biggest missed pass, that one, Jahmyr Gibbs ran a really great route, ended up being open in the end zone. Jared Goff just overthrew it a little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge touchdown, and probably would have bumped these running backs up a little bit higher. But we're moving on. Wide receivers and tight ends, pass catchers, all of them. That includes St. Brown, Laporta, and Josh
as a
Reynolds. Overall, what grade are you giving? I'm coming to you first, KG.
Oh, you coming to me?
Yeah.
We'll go to you first.
Cool,
Sorry,
I need time to think.
Now you gonna put me on the spot.
Hey,
you know what?
I'm sorry,
Let
man.
me try and be a little bit more clutch in the lines here. I honestly, And I keep going back and forth between, I don't know how much of the blame is on the position groups or on the coaches. I got to go with a B- here. I do. I got to go to B-. I feel a little bad. Like, I feel like I need to kind of readjust what I do with the running backs because I forgot to totally factor in that fumble. But I got to go with a B- for these wide receivers. I wanted to see a little bit more. You got to think about the Josh Reynolds 2 drops. Amon-Ra even had a drop, but he made up for it on that same drive. So I don't ding him too much for that one. But got to go to B- for these wide receivers.
Nick, Mr. Detroit Mario.
I'm going with the C+. The drops are inexcusable. Like,
I don't want to be in Nick's class, man.
It's a tough grader.
Yeah. You don't want to see me Monday morning. Just kidding.
No bell curve.
Yeah, I'm going C+ here. I mean, Laporta stepped up. He had a massive game. St. Brown had a massive game. But all of these guys had drops. And this grade for the group goes down specifically because Josh Reynolds didn't do his effing homework. Josh Reynolds, public enemy #1, enemy to me #1, kept me out of a massive parlay, but more importantly, he kept the Lions out of the Super Bowl. I blame Josh Reynolds, and that's why this team gets a C+ for their receiving grade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Nick. It's a C+, man. Josh Reynolds, he didn't do the group project, man, and the grade got brought down. And that's no offense to him. He's been great all year. I don't want people to lose sight of that. He was really a big key to our success this year. But just in those moments, man, those drops were absolutely crucial. Add to that, you had the Laporta drop. You did have the Amon-Ra drop. Like you said, he made up for it in the same drive. But collectively, I mean, J-Mo was probably the biggest bright spot of this game and what's keeping them from being even lower than a C to me. We kept asking for that J-Mo game and we kind of got it in this one, albeit, you know, one of his scores was through a reverse. But if I gotta grade the whole group, it is a C+, just like Nick said.
I'm giving the same grade, a C+, KG, and
Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the nail. Without that J-Mo performance, it might be even lower. And I think that also speaks to our expectations of this wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Like, we just expect so much out of St. Brown and Laporta. Like, a drop a piece, that just
crazy.
doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and 2
that's
huge
tough.
ones from Josh Reynolds, that really doesn't happen. So I know we were maybe a little easy on the running backs, giving them a 5. I thought, except for that fumble, they played exceptional in the first half. This wide receiver group, they were very good. But these were clutch plays that they missed out on.
Real quick, do you think they should have went to Amon-Ra more?
Yes. And that's going to come up more in my coaching grade. If you guys want to talk about it now, we can. Especially in the second half. You can't stop going away from your reliable receiver. You talked about a little bit last segment. You have to find him. In whatever game plan, whatever play calling you do, you got to go find Amon-Ra.
You definitely do, man. I wanted to see Amon-Ra get over 100 yards in this game. And I think that he's somebody that when you absolutely need that catch, you have to find him. When you absolutely need to get down the field, you need to make a crucial down. Terry Foster talked about it as well. Every single crucial down. I think he talked about it on the Woodward and Main Street show. You got to find Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got to scheme him open. You have to pick him open. You got to do something. You got to either change up what normal routes that the backs are used to him running. Do something to get this guy the ball. I don't think that any of these guys are ever going to be perfect. But if there's somebody that I believe is going to drop the ball the less on this team, the least amount on this team, it's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have to make sure he's a guy. Get trying to catch a team off guard and all this other stuff. Maybe you catch the 49ers off guard by going to Josh Reynolds because Amon-Ra is going to attract the attention. But I believe in those big moments, big games, brightest lights, you go to your best player, man. You have to. Somebody who he practices for these moments, man. He practices to be in these moments. He has put himself in position to honestly climb the ranks of the wide receiver charts, in my opinion, and be at a place that I don't know too many people thought he'd be at. I know that there's a lot of NFL GMs who didn't think he would be at this position. I know there's a whole lot of opposing teams who didn't think Amon-Ra would be that guy. But you go and you look at what the Lions do whenever he gets over 100 yards, man, and it's a lot of winning in that. It's a lot of dubs in that. So I just felt like, man, that was really, really disappointing. I see he had 7 catches, man, and this is one of them games I would have went maybe 11 or 12, man. You should have gotten him at least 3 to 5 pass attempts in that third quarter. There were big moments. I'm disappointed in that. I really am. I really am.
Congratulations, you just got Amon-Ra St. Clown.
It's true. Let's go one more before we hit break. We'll be a little quick with it. This is the heart and soul of this team, the offensive line. I'll start. I'm going to give them a B+ grade. And I'm going to come to you while you think about this here for a second. I thought until the second half, They were on their way to an A-plus grade. The things I saw out of Penei Sewell, he impresses me more each and every week. Blocking 2 guys at once, leading Jahmyr Gibbs sweeps out on the outside. He is super impressive. And what they did in the first half, they prevented pressure from their interior line, the interior defensive line. That changed in the second half. That 1 4th down attempt to St. Brown, Eric Armstead, he came up the middle. That forced Jared Goff to roll out to the right side. It was either Josh Reynolds or J-Mo on a deep post route. He was going to be wide open on the other side. Yeah. It was going to be successful. He just couldn't get enough on it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I give the offensive line a B+. What do you give them?
Yeah, I give the offensive line a B+. I feel like, especially in that first half of the game, they were on point, man. And honestly, they largely kept Jared Goff clean. They gave our running backs the opportunities to be able to kind of get some clean running lanes as well. And for whatever reason, we kind of went away or shied away. And that's why I'm waiting to get to this coaching staff. So we can at least talk about it, man. We got to talk about it because I don't know what happened. We sit here and we question, why no Amon-Ra? We sit here and we question, why did the targets to the wide receivers kind of diminish as the game went on? But I thought that this offensive line overall, man, a B.
Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to go B here as well, Kool-Aid. 2 sacks from Nick Bosa. That's really my only
one of them was like untouched, too. I didn't get that one.
They picked up the wrong guy, it kind of looked like in that one. Well, he just didn't have tight end help on the right side there. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the B. They did their job. You know, nothing crazy there. No big breakdown for the O-line on this one.
A little bit, KG.
B+. That first half, they absolutely dogged the 49ers on their front 4. And I got to give a shout out to Coyote, man. I was worried about him coming into this game. He wasn't absolutely perfect, but for the role that they asked him to play in that spot, I felt like he did a damn good job. And he played as good as a game as he could play. But overall, I mean, I felt like they were good, but in that second half, they started letting some of that pressure creep up, and it resulted in Jared Goff having to make some rush decisions. So give me a B+ for them in this game.
Without a doubt. We're going to come back. We're going to finish up the positions. We're going to talk coaching staff, and then we're going to open the phone line. So come on back after Kool-Aid tells you about Planet Fitness.
Listen, Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals, and maybe the Lions can work on their next season goals too. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. Walk into your local Planet Fitness today or visit them online at planetfitness.com.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Now, coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Give your pet the best, and that means going to Premier Pet Supply, Michigan's hands down Michigan's best pet store. They're owned and locally operated here in Michigan for over 50 years. That's impressive. It also allows them, they got the same prices, same convenience as the online and big box store, but they have a little down-home comfort feel. They take care of you. They have nutrition experts to help you pick out one of the over 60 brands of food for your pets. That's what makes them Michigan's best pet store. Check them out, premierpetsupply.com. Welcome back. Welcome back. My name is Matt Broder here with Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. This is the brand new Knights. I appreciate you all for joining in. All 157 of you right now. If you could hit that like button, we'd really appreciate it.
Smash
Your
that
presence
like.
here is fine enough for me, but it helps us grow this show, grow the network, all of that. So I appreciate it, guys. What we're going to do here real quick, we're going to finish off these grades. We're going to be really quick on our defensive positional units, and then we're going to have a little conversation about this coaching staff because I feel like that is the most important one. Also, we're going to open the phone lines. Nick, if you're ready for that. What's that number? Where is the number? If any of you guys know it off the top of your head, it is 313-552-6322. No, like, see the little ringer. If one of you, while I'm talking, since I'm working on this, if you could put the number in the chat and pin it, that would be great. Yep. I'll be better tomorrow. But for now, Kool-Aid.
Yes, sir.
Just your grade. And if you have a quick little snippet, that's fine. But just your grade. Defensive line, what are you giving them?
Man.
Dun, dun,
It's a little
dun, 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 dun. It's tough. Tale of two halves.
I gotta go to C.
Okay.
I gotta go to C.
Okay.
And I feel like that's being nice. I really do. They missed some sacks. We saw them do this in previous games, and I was wondering if this was going to catch up to them and cost them. But I got to go with a C. I feel like I actually got to go to C minus.
Okay.
I got to go to C minus.
C minus from Kool-Aid. Nick.
I'm going with the D.
D.
Because they did not show up in the second half. Yeah, I'm going with the D here. Hutchinson, he had those two big passes deflected in the first half, but he was a no-show in the second, and he's had massive games here, and we just didn't see it, and we really he needed to step up and put this team behind the sticks, and he did not do that. Aleem McNeil had a sack. Shout out Aleem the Dream. It would be an F if Aleem did not get home once. So
KG, defensive line.
And that's the big factor. C minus for me. Just they could not get home, man. And then the couple times they did, it was cool. But Brock Purdy breaking us open, pause, in the second half, like, man, that was really the biggest key of the second half, aside from all the execution mistakes, is Brock Purdy getting it done with his legs, man, and that just absolutely killed us. Give me a C minus.
I hear you. I guess I'm being a little too generous. I'm giving them a B minus. They were really bad in the second half. I guess you're right. But in the first half, I thought they were not sensational, but just under there. They had stopped the run. They were getting pressure. It just looked like the 49ers offensive line was moving backwards. So that just made me so excited. Even Hutch, who didn't have his best game, 2 passes deflective. So maybe I'm a little too generous, but B minus. How about that linebacker group? Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Malcolm. This is my highest grade, just to give you guys a precursor.
Wow. I was
probably an A.
I was gonna actually give them a C plus because I do believe that some of those Brock Purdy runs in the second half, the amazing catch by Juwan Jennings, there were just certain plays that I remember the linebackers being a part of that they should have made a bigger play, in my opinion. I give them a C plus.
Got you. KG, what about you?
You said the linebacker group?
Yeah, linebackers.
Linebacker group, man. It was some missed tackles. Give me a B minus. Overall, they had a solid game, but it's just that second half, man. It brings them down completely, man. But I do like the job that Rodrigo did stepping up for Derek Barnes. We brought that up earlier. Jack Campbell could have been better, but yeah, overall, give me a B minus for that.
You want to just give your grade real quick, Nick?
For the linebackers,
yeah,
A. Give me an A. I like the way that Malcolm Rodriguez kind of saved this group, so I'm going with the A here.
I love that.
Oh wow,
I love that.
Yeah,
let's go.
I didn't give him an A, but I actually give him an A minus. And I know there were a lot of missed tackles across the defense, but we didn't hear their names in too many negative situations. I mean, Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell led the team in tackles. Malcolm came in, filled in for Derek Barnes admirably with that interception. I thought they did what they needed to do. It was just a full team breakdown there in the second half. Secondary, you know what? I'm gonna bypass this. We're gonna all give them lower than a C.
Yeah.
It was a tough day. We're skipping that. We're going right to this coaching staff. This is the conversation. This is the conversation we need to have. You can pick apart, or you can go You can pick a specific coordinator to go after, talk about the entire unit, but as a coaching staff, Kool-Aid, what is your grade?
For the coaching staff, man, oh man, oh man. You know what? We started the show saying that the responsibility of this game fell at the feet of Dan Campbell. We know that the defense had a breakdown in the second half, and we know that the offense has some questionable calls in the second half, man. Honestly, this is going to be my lowest grade that I've given out tonight. It is a C-. I was sitting here going back and forth between D+, C-. Part of me wants to give them a D+. It really does. But I'm going to go to C- because of how good they looked and prepared in the first half. But the second half, they didn't make the necessary adjustments. They made some questionable calls. Obviously, the biggest story that's going to be attached to this game are those fourth down calls, and that falls on coaching. The second biggest story is the things that we've been talking about all kind of show is what happened to Amon-Ra. Why didn't we keep running the ball? We talk about the defense and not leaving, not keeping containment on Brock Purdy. Maybe one time, two times.
Right.
Okay, but after that, you guys have to make some type of adjustment, man. You have to.
Yeah. Nick, coaching staff.
I'm going with the D.
D.
Straight up, I'm going with a D.
Throw
a couple
some Ds
big
on
things
it.
shout out Soldier Boy. No, I just think the biggest plays from this game were from J-Mo early and on that reverse. And to not go back to another reverse like that when you are struggling so much in the second half, I think that is inexcusable. This defense letting Purdy get out over and over and over again and not making the proper adjustments to stop that from happening. And then Dan Campbell, timeout late in the game when you know you have to keep your 3 timeouts if you don't get the onside kick, which only 2 teams have gotten it this year. Those 3 things make this a D job from this team, and it's not an F because they played really well in the first half.
A D job, a DJ. KG.
C-. C- for me, man. I the only reason they aren't a D is because of the first half. But, man, that second half was just absolutely brutal. We went through the Dan Campbell fourth down decisions. The first one, the 4th and 2 to Reynolds. Like I said, I'm not as mad about that, but the other 2 were just absolutely just not the right call at the right time. I also got to give Ben Johnson some blame. Because where was Amon-Ra in the second half? Why did we stop running the ball so much? I felt like when he did call the runs, they were at the absolute wrong time. And we were just completely out of sync offensively until that final drive where we got the score, but it was too little too late. And ultimately, AG had a solid game for the most part, but the missed tackles in the second half just absolutely piled up. And before you knew it, we were out of the game. So give me a C-.
Yeah, and to continue that, I'm going to give him a C. And for all the reasons I agree with you, I'm not going to repeat them, but I'm going to stick on the AG train, who I support too. I hope he comes back. But Brian Branch, I'm going to call it this specific player. He only played, so he was, per PFF, he was their highest graded defensive player. He also only played in 27 defensive snaps versus the San Francisco 49ers. That was his lowest total of the season.
What the fuck?
Why? How? How is he not out there every defensive play? Yeah. I don't know what needs to happen. We know CJ Gardner-Johnson, he did not play his best game. Kirby Joseph, I don't think, played his best game. I liked Iffy out there, but you got to find a way to get Brian Branch on the field as much as possible. This is, whether it's for experience or just for talent out there, how does he only play 27 defensive snaps out of the 66 total? I don't understand that, guys.
I have nothing to even say about that. It doesn't make sense. There are so many things in the second half of the game and some of the narratives throughout the entire game that just didn't make too much sense to me. I don't get it. Your best players. We're talking about the best players. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the running backs, and Brian Branch. Those 3 things are going to be probably, and Brock Purdy just running wild. Those 4 things in combination are going to haunt me, honestly, more so than the fourth down calls. I believe that they put themselves in a position to have to make those fourth down decisions because they went away from what they were known for doing all season. Now, all of a sudden, you're putting this pressure on your team, and to be able to put that pressure on your team and then rely on Josh Reynolds, who I said earlier, he was very reliable for them the first 2 weeks. But honestly, you need to rely on your best players. It got to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. It has to be Brian Branch. It has to be David Montgomery. It has to be Jahmyr Gibbs. That was just head scratching to me, man. There you go.
It truly was. It truly was. Well, that'll finish our grades for this game. later in this week, tomorrow or Wednesday, we're talking grades for the season, and I imagine the grades will be a little bit higher than we handed out today.
A lot better.
But we got a handful of callers on the line. We're going to take calls next. When we come back, we'll finish off the day with mailbag, and we're off. But Kool-Aid, could you tell them about what the Lions defense needed in the second half of that game?
The Lions defense needed Guardian Alarm, man. It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. They get an A+, okay? Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work, and people have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Stay out.
And once again, that is 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball. Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has been providing Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, dry-aged beef, and Wagyu beef. You can experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Just check out their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods. They got delicious grab-and-go steaks. Or, strapped for time, order online at fairwaypacking.com. Woodward Nights is back. Woodward Nights is back with a brand new Nights show. Brand new Nights. We got to get that. I got to figure out how we're going to introduce this. But it is brand new Nights. I got Kool-Aid with me.
Let's go.
Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. We got Nick, Detroit Mario, in the booth. And we have the real KG.
Detroit KG.
Not the fake KG, the Detroit, the real KG. Anything still is possible, but that is the real one in there. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to go.
We got Broder the GOAT, man.
Me?
Yeah.
No, we're a team here.
Broder the GOAT, man.
We're functioning as a team right now. I don't even know.
We are, but I got to listen, bro. I know what I've been through on the Detroit Pistons beat and just how much time, energy, effort, articles, and all of that. What you've done this season to not just cover the Detroit Lions, but make sure that the show hosts have different notes, all of the different quotes. Making sure the social team can get all of the different interviews and videos and all of that. Listen, man, it's been an amazing time, man.
You're making me blush, Kool-Aid.
For real, man. You've done a great job.
Thank
I
you.
have to.
Thank
I have
you.
to say that, man. So definitely shout out Broder the GOAT. He's had a great season with the Detroit Lions, and I know that it's not over for you. You got the draft, and it's right here in Detroit, Michigan coming up. And before you know it, man, we're going to be sitting here at training camp, and I think that there's going to be a completely different edge to how we enter this next season.
I'm so with you.
29th
good
job,
pick.
Man.
We got 29. Thank you for those words. I appreciate it. I've been able to learn a lot from Kool-Aid. Like we've been going through this all year, trying to figure out what's the best way to put out this content, put out our articles, all that stuff. We're getting better. I thought we had a pretty good year. We're getting better, and it helps having the fans, having the people who we're about to talk to on the line. It sounds like there's an OG, there's a legend on the line by the name of Freddie Felt 313.
Hey.
Freddie, can you hear us?
Shout out, Freddie.
Hey, how's the audio? It's real sketchy on my end. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, perfect. It's just like real staticky since I've been holding. So as long as you can hear me, who cares? I'm going to go ahead and quote one of my favorite poems from one of my favorite poets. And if you know the words, you can sing along at home. I'm going to go ahead and quote the great poet DMX.
Okay.
All I know is pain. All I feel is rain. How can I maintain with mad shit on my brain?
Hey.
At the risk of not sounding cool or manly, because I know the cool bro dude thing to do is wake up this morning and pretend to be tough and unfazed, and do that every second of your life. But here goes it. Many moons ago, I was cheated on by a fiance, and the morning after I found out is exactly how I felt this morning. Like identical. The pain is real. And to make that connection, the pain comes from loving something so much and having it not reciprocated back. And that's been the relationship with the Detroit Lions for the last 40 years. And, this city, I love this city so much. You guys have met me, everybody on exception of KG, who's just killing it and always kills it every day. So appreciate you,
bro.
You guys know me. Like, I love the city. I'm not just a dude that wears a Tiger hat and calls himself a Detroiter. I love the city of Detroit. What it stands for. I love the people. I love the sports. I love everything. And, the city in almost every commercial or vignette, it's so cliche, right? There's some Michigan celeb doing the voiceover with the same rhetorical lines. We're Detroit. We're hard-nosed. We've been through a lot, but we keep getting up. I'm sorry, but I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of being a hard ass at all times of every facet of my sports life, my personal life, every Sunday through every disappointment, year in and year out. I'm tired of being resilient. I want the love. I want the love back, like I said a moment ago. I want the glory. Last night was 40 years of emotions that just got tricked and duped and manipulated and resulted into just complete shock. And just like the breakup I had, the pain goes away, but you never forget. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's just another blemish on the franchise of can you believe the Lions? And those little nuggets, those little moments, it just keeps that PTSD alive, despite all the accomplishments this year. And if, you listened to the post-game show last night, I was on my rah-rah stuff, and I meant to every word of it. Yeah. We're coming back, and we're hoisting a trophy. And Jared Goff is our quarterback, 0 turnovers in the playoffs. And Coach Campbell will learn from this, and he is our coach of the future. But, despite us being the brand new Lions, it's just that doesn't incubate you from being hurt in new ways. And that was the ultimate hurt in the newest way that none of us have ever experienced. And I say that to say this. We just want that feeling once. We just want that once-in-a-lifetime feeling. That's not asking much. We just want to feel the love once. I'm tired of being the tough, blue-collar, hard-nosed, resilient city. I just want the love, man. I'm tired of getting knocked down and getting back up again. That's Detroit. Yeah. I'm over that. That's been our identity my whole life. That's the city's identity, not just the sport and the sports teams. I just want that feeling once. And so that's all I got for you. Thank you all for your hard work, and thank you for being the narrators for this ride, this magical, wild ride of a football season. This was the best football year of my life, one of the greatest sports years of my life. I hate it ended this way, but we'll be back, and that's all I have to say. So I appreciate you guys. And I'm out. Thanks,
they will be back. Freddie, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate you.
Freddie fell 313.
And Kool-Aid, I got to imagine that Freddie learned from not learned from getting cheated on, but saw signs from that first failed relationship that he was able to, if it were to happen again, he's gonna handle it a little bit differently.
You know what though, man? I've been cheated on by the Lions in the past. This wasn't that. This was just this. Listen. Anybody in a real relationship, man, I've been married for some time, got kids and all of that, there's going to be disappointments, but you know that your relationship is rock solid and that you will get through these things. That's what last night felt like. Did it hurt? Yes, there's going to be pain. There's going to be hurt in relationships. There's going to be disappointments. But this was not a betrayal of my love for the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, they have betrayed me before. I've been there just like everybody else has been there, man. We've all seen the same old Lions aspect, and that was a real thing, but not with this team. Not with this team, man. This Detroit Lions team, it showed me that they are going to be real players. I was confident going into this game, and for at least the first half, they showed it. But as it relates to everything we know about the relationships and being let down, this is one in which, you know what? We're still together. We're still married. I believe in this relationship with this Detroit Lions team, and I know that they're going to come out next year and they're going to prove us happy. Obviously, you can't ever say that you're going to just get right back to this point, but in terms of knowing that the foundation of what we have, yeah, I think that we're going to be here in 5 years and in 10 years having some renewal ceremonies.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. We got a couple callers on the line. Let's take one more before we go to break. Then we'll finish off the two left on the line when we come back. Nick, who do we got on the line?
We're going to Eduardo in Orlando. Ed, thanks for waiting on hold. You are live on Woodward Nights.
Eduardo, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, guys. Listen, so I have a couple points I want to, so just bear with me. I'm going to go all over the place.
Let's
For
hear
starters, I want to point out, I love me some Josh Allen, but God told me that he is my guy. He showed up yesterday. His receivers did not. That is my first point I want to say. I want to say a second point. I don't think in the last 2 years the Lions have won a game where the running back fumbled the ball. I really don't think so. There was like 2 games last year Williams fumbled. There's 3 games this year that we fumbled and we lost.
Yeah.
Listen, I got a text message during halftime. The text message read, "Lions to the Super Bowl, congratulations." I told them, you haven't seen the Lions in the third quarter. And then I proceeded to tell them, and the third quarter happened. And I did some research. The 2021 season, I necessarily wasn't fully into football, but last year and this year I have been. The most points we have scored in the third quarter in 37 games is 14. 14. Almost every one of those games, we have gotten outscored in the third quarter. I might be in the minority when I'm saying this. Ben Johnson is awesome for his first half. But the third quarter, I don't know if he's a part of the problem, but only putting up 14 points once in 37 games, like we need to do better than that, and it's been for 2 years.
Great point.
One thing, thank you. One thing that I want to bring up is this team has been alternating on and off for weeks. Dallas game, they don't show up till the second half. Minnesota game, they show up in the first half. LA game, they show up in the first half. Tampa game, they show up in the second half. The San Francisco game, they show up in the first half. We need that. That also needs to be a change for next year.
Yes.
This whole let's show up for half the game, not half the other. A couple weeks ago, I pointed that out. Like in the playoffs, your strong suit is this offense, and the offense can't disappear. I am not mad at the defense. Why? The defense gave the team perfect opportunity. We should have been up. We should have had 30 at the first half. We should have. The offense didn't execute to put up the 30, And this is what I want to see us for next season. This is what I want us to fix. Our tackling and our drop.
Yeah.
We were top 5. I believe we were 3 in drops this year. That's unacceptable. Whatever we need to do to fix that, Kansas City figured it out, They're not dropping any balls anymore. We need to fix that. I've noticed this is a trend. I don't know if it's Ben Johnson calling the plays. We only use Gamo when we need a big play. I was at that Tampa game. We only threw it deep down to him because we really needed the play. You know what I mean? Chicago game, same thing. The Dallas game, we need like a huge to get down the field. Bam, we finally throw it to him. We drafted this guy 12 overall. He needs to be a part of the game plan every play. Not every play, but every quarter. We can't be waiting till the fourth quarter to decide, hey, we want to give him the ball. That's why I've been very critical of the first 15. And yes, we've thrown him the ball once or twice in the first 15. And I'm not saying he deserves 10, 15 targets, but he needs to be more a part of this offense next season.
He's got to touch the ball 5, 6, 7, 8 times a game in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Eduardo's point there, I know we got to go to break here, but just getting J-Mo involved in the backfield is like what I want to see more with reverses, or even just faking an end around, maybe goes out wide for like a jet sweep reverse look. That could even have just a major impact on this offense.
Yeah.
Bummer. Eduardo, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, Eduardo.
Looks like it's dropped. Thanks. We do really appreciate you. Got some good points we'll cover. We got to take a quick break right here. Let me tell you about Mark White Real Estate, because if you're dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right. I said $5,000. So call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out woodwardsports.com and click shop. Hoodies, tees, and the hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click shop.
And we're back here on Woodward Nights. My name is Matt Broder. We got Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, on the desk. Nick in the booth. KG in the booth. We got 2 more callers to get to, but there was a comment that came up in the chat from Big M. He said, I used to think the same way Kool-Aid is right now back in the 90s. Kool-Aid, you had something to say about that comment.
Yeah. How I said, you know what? This isn't the Lions cheating on us as, well, I think Freddie kind of insinuated he was feeling like. I feel like this was just a bump in the road in a good relationship that you get over, and that you will have your vow renewals in 5 years, 10 years, and down the road. Obviously, this loss hurts. Obviously, this stings, especially the way that it went down. But there's one significant reason that kind of fuels my optimism for what this organization and franchise can be, because it's about what happens at the top of this organization. We've seen for years the Ford family in a position of ownership be stubborn, and that wound up kind of finding its way into the GMs and into the coaching staffs as well, to where everybody underneath the ownership group had this kind of smartest guy in the room kind of attitude, and they refused to make changes. They refused to update. Like we were talking about earlier with the philosophy thing, KG. They refused to learn from mistakes. We saw them just continue to go like Matt Patricia. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that was from, and Bob Quinn, that was from the previous regime. And instead of saying, you know what, we can be humble and admit when we might have done something wrong or that we need to update something, they went into good players and traded them away. For years, when the fans were like, yo, Matt Millen has to go, No, the ownership said, nah, this is my friend. Nah, this is what we're going to stick with. But now we got a different owner in Sheila Ford Hamp, who has consistently been somebody to say, you know what, let me get the best football minds in here. We're talking about the man, why is his name slipping my mind? So we got Chris Spillman. We have
Rod Wood, Mike Disner.
You have Dan Campbell. And what has Dan Campbell shown, though? He's shown that he's not afraid to update his philosophy. Yeah. He's gone and gotten rid of friends that were on the staff. He's gone and gotten rid of the hires that he brought in because he's not afraid to go out there and say, you know what? We need to get better. We need to be better. He knows exactly what this means. When you're a part of 0-16, the one thing that you want to do is get as far away from that as you possibly can. And that's what I love about this relationship that we have with the Detroit Lions. Sheila Ford Hamp was a fan of this team. She's only ever wanted to see them win. This is different than business for her. And she's going to do everything in her power, and she's going to turn over every single stone, as we've seen this entire organization do from the top down, to be able to make sure that we can have winning football in Detroit with longevity. They're not afraid to go out there and say, you know what, maybe I made a mistake. They're not afraid to go out there and say, you know what, let me correct on something. They're not afraid to go out there and say, you know what, let me stand on my laurels as well. And that's why I have optimism with this Detroit Lions organization. You take me back before the Sheila Hamp era, I'm going to tell you, you know what, this was a good run. We blew our chance. But right now, I believe this organization is set up to have success for a long time and be mentioned every single year, at least for this window of opportunity, amongst the top contenders in the NFC going forward.
Drop
facts.
Mike. Unfortunately, I hate to be the caller to come after you. That is a great point in response to Big M's statement. And
I appreciate all of the support, man. Everybody that's tapped in here, man. Definitely, man. Hit that like button to support the crew. Broder has held it down. The booth crew has held it down.
Let's go.
And not just held it down. You guys do your jobs, but then you're also bringing heat as well with your takes, man. It's been an awesome night.
Big shout out.
We got someone on the line, Nick. Who are we about to be talking to? Excuse me.
They got a lot of static.
Yeah, we got Ed from SoCal, but Ed, you have a quick trigger here.
Ed, how you doing tonight? What do you want to talk about?
I feel you. I'll make it quick. First of all, my grade for Woodward Knights is an A+.
Hey.
Gentlemen.
Appreciate you, Ed.
Second half. Coach Shanahan said our zones are too wide. We got to make adjustments. We got to take some things away. I think when you watch the All-22, they didn't get away from St. Brown. The 49ers took them away. That's a good team. That's a good team.
Great point.
I think the coach made some fourth-down decisions based on the fact that the defense couldn't get off the field. Look at the time of possession in the second half. Those guys were tired. Purdy got away because when you're tired, you start to reach. You're out of position. You know, guys are trying to make up for other people's shortcomings. All right? We were playing with a defense that we all know needs more talent. Things happened. The off of Vildor's face mask. That play, come on.
Yeah.
And then the fumble, short field, quick turnaround, no rest. It happens. But I am not embarrassed. We announced ourselves. We are here.
Let's go.
We went to the champ 5 times they've been in a game. We knocked the crap out of them. It was like Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray. We took them to the 14th round, got caught on the chin. Unfortunately, we didn't get this one. But if you think for 1 minute the Lions are done, you're a damn fool. And if you think it's SOL, you're a damn fool. So you're entitled to your fandom. I appreciate your feelings and in your opinion. You're entitled to it. But I'm here to tell you, it's a new dawn. It's a new day. And the Lions are here to stay. All right? Feel good. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. It hurts me. But guess what? The sun's coming up tomorrow. And that beautiful woman's going to be standing at the end of your driveway, and she's going to be smiling.
Oh, I like
talk your shit.
We're here.
I like
We're
that
here.
SoCal, Ed.
I love you guys. I love you. Hey, Booner, tell Broder he's still the man. I miss him. Or if I gotta
the other way around. I got you, though. I got you. Booner is the man.
Yeah.
And
you guys are awesome. Woodward Nights, best show on the network. I know you got to go, so peace and love from L.A. Lions are here to stay, brother.
Let's go.
What
I
a
like that one.
legendary call.
I like
for
that.
that.
Uplifting. Talk about uplifting right there. Ed, thank you so much. Ooh, they announced they're here. That was spot on to me. They fell apart in the second half, but there's no one in the NFL, no one who watched that game that didn't see that first half is like, oh, the Lions are for real. They're coming. They're coming.
Couple things that stood out to me. I mean, Ed kind of brought it up there. I mean, you think about Vildor. He wasn't even playing earlier in the season. Does this kind of come back to Brad Holmes maybe not addressing this cornerback position at the deadline for one of these biggest games of the season? It comes back to bite us with Vildor, and again, not getting pressure on Purdy at the times of when we needed it the most. Do you guys think Brad Holmes
have a point there.
regrets? Do you think Brad Holmes regrets not making a move at the deadline?
I think there's a lot of regrets, and that's the thing about this. It doesn't really fall on any one person, player, coach, GM. I think that this is a situation where they all kind of go into the off season and a lot of different philosophies change. We have a group here that's not stubborn. We have a group here that knows what it means to this city, and they want to get it done. The thing that I've absolutely loved to see this year is the passion from Brad Holmes, the passion from Sheila, the passion from Dan and the players, and what they've said. I saw somebody in the chats earlier say it too. I didn't see a lot of finger pointing. You know, what I've seen from the players is that they have felt like, you know what, we didn't get it done. What we heard from Dan Campbell is, I didn't get it done. And you better well sure believe that Brad Holmes is going to go into this offseason with a completely different mindset at making sure that this team can get it done next year.
Bang.
I believe that.
I love it. We got one more caller left, Nick?
Yes, sir. We're going to go to Albert and Wyandotte. Albert, last caller of the night. You're live
Albert,
on
how you
Woodward.
doing?
Hold it down for Wyandotte.
We can hear
Hi,
you,
can
Albert.
you hear me?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I'm getting a ton of static here. I just wanted, Broder, Kool-Aid, I just wanted to say I've been watching the Lions for 50 years, and I've seen this game before, and when I was your guys' age, this would have destroyed me. But, you know, I've been through this stuff before, and, you know, I knew San Francisco was going to come out in the second half, make some adjustments, play hard. They did not show up in the first half, and we played really well. But I knew we were going to get punched back, and I just wanted to see us fight, and I think we did fight. But when those fluky plays happened, some of their players just got a little nervous, made a few drops, and the thing that I worried about the entire playoffs, they're thin on defense. Their secondary, you know, they have great safeties, but their corners are the worst in the league, and I think it caught up with them. They just, you know, they still fought hard. They made them settle for field goals a couple times in that second half, and I thought they fought hard enough to maybe win, but you know they. You know, every level of that team had some problems. Coaching, the receivers were dropping balls. You know, their defense stiffened up, and they slowed our running game down just enough that it was tough. And everything was a little bit tougher in that second half. And we just didn't quite do enough. And I just feel like they needed a little more talent in the corner and the corners. And if they'd have had that, with everything that went wrong with this game, I don't think they could have lost this game if they just had a little more talent in the secondary. And I, for the first time in my life, I've seen the Lions lose like this before, but for the first time in my life, I feel like we have a general manager that will actually go out in the offseason and he'll fix it. And that's just my hope. Yeah. I believe he will fix it. You know, the coaching will get better. He'll get more experience. But the key, the GM has to fix it, and I believe for the first time in my life, I've been watching them for 50 years, this is the first time in my life I've believed in the ownership and in the general manager of this team, and I think that they will improve. Now, you still got to get lucky to make it to the Super Bowl, and I think we got like a 3 or 4 year window, and I just hope and pray that we'll do it. You know, I've had relatives that have passed on in the last 2 years, and they all said the same thing. We'll never see it while we win. I think we've got a chance for the first time in my life.
Yes.
And I just
I just pray that it happens and that you younger people don't have to go through the stuff that people like me and my brothers did. I've got a brother that's been watching close to 60 years, and he was so excited this year. He couldn't hardly stand it. My family, we all got together. We went to New Orleans. We paid the money. We took that trip, and it was the most fun I've had in decades. And the Lions brought my family back together this year like we haven't been in years. And this year was worthwhile. This year was worthwhile. It's the farthest we've been, and they just got to make it a little bit more talented, and I think we got to have a chance.
Yes, Albert, thank you so much. Call back again later. I wish we had more time to converse. We got to wrap up the show. But your points and your experience, your perspective were amazing. Thank you for calling. Albert from Wyandotte. Nick, you're going to tell them about Planet Fitness, and we're going to come back. We're going to do a quick 5-minute mailbag. We're going to wrap up the show at 10:10. So everyone, come on back after this little ad read from Nick.
It's sports, right? Overtime is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
little shots fired at little Dane Campbell, eh?
We'll
take overtime.
Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes. All memberships include fitness training. You get all this for just $10 a month. Check out Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
What up, Woodward Sports? Dispo Dispensary is bringing you the ultimate experience for the big game in Vegas, and they want you there. You can win 2 tickets to the big game, plus a flight, hotel, and accommodations by following these simple steps. First, follow dispo.michigan, @ShowMedicated, and @ShowMedicatedCBD on Instagram. Like Dispo's pinned post, comment and tag someone you love to bring. Plus, if you repost on your story, you get an extra entry. It's that easy. Join the Dispo family for a chance to score in Vegas. The big game awaits. Follow, like, tag, and repost now.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience. They got 18 locations, so there's got to be a dealership near you. Visit feldmanauto.com to find that location nearest you, and catch the Morning Woodward Show and Big D Energy at the Novi dealership every other Monday. Hosting us is part of what makes Feldman Chevrolet Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer. And we are back. The Woodward Knights, the brand new Knights. I'm here with Detroit Kool-Aid. We got Nick. We got KG. This is the crew tonight. We got about 5 minutes left. We're going to take mailbag questions. But as you go, as you come and go, hit that like button. It will really help us out. But let's jump back into it. Mailbag. If you guys see one, call it out. But I am going to pick. Do I see one? Where's mailbag? Chef Talks. There we go. In light of Flannel begging JMO for forgiveness on Twitter, what do you think he needs to do to acquire Absolution? Should have read that one through. I don't know. He was like a little bit right on Cam Sutton as of late. Flannel's my guy. Like, I know he's got some crazy takes, but he does have a reason for everything. He just thinks about it a little bit differently. To get Absolution, I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions?
Here, I got a mailbag.
Hit me with it.
Mailbag from Eduardo O'Neal. Snead or Jalen Johnson for Brad to target?
Oh, oof. I mean, if you can do it and the price is right, Jalen Johnson. Snead's earned himself a few extra dollar bills. He's been playing great.
He's having a good year.
I'll take either of them. Jalen Johnson, man, he's a baller. You guys have any other opinions? No, I'm going Jalen Johnson. Mailbag, is this another one from Eduardo? Moment will define this team next year. It's all what you do now. Either turn it into Super Bowl like the 2018 Chiefs did after their loss, or you can't get over the hump like the 2020 Bills. Not a question, but that is a statement that I like. Mason Leach, should Brad make moves to get a second pick in the first round this year? That's a great question. I'll let you guys answer first if you want to crack at it.
I mean, he's done really, really good at when he gets those extra picks at making sure this team can be stocked with talent and kind of seeing where we are and the amount of talent we probably need in that defensive backfield. I'm not going to be against it, but, KG said something a little bit earlier, too. It gets to a point, I believe, where you kind of need the pro talent on this squad that can go. Same thing with the Pistons as well. It gets to a point in time where, your young talent is good, but you need people that can go out there and be put in the right situations, and not like your older vets like Cam Sutton, great locker room guy. He, I think I forget who coined the term. I think it might have been Terry Foster who called him Sutton Toast. At a certain point in time, you need one of those vets that are vets, but not too old, not too long in the tooth, but that can go out there and make the right plays for you, as well as be what you need them to be in the locker room as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. IT Hips, mailbag. There were rumors that St. Brown would hold out if he didn't get a deal in the offseason. Do you believe the Lions will sign him this offseason or possibly trade him? I'm going to say no on the trade. I don't know. I expect them to sign him this offseason. I think he's one of those guys they get the contract extension done early. Him and Penei Sewell.
Blank check.
I really am not. Yeah, I'm not worried about him holding out. He's not that. He's a team player, but he is someone who is outplayed by far his draft position. So it's going to be a significant contract. Do you guys have an opinion?
I don't think he'll hold out by any means.
No.
He doesn't even seem like that type of player. And plus the front office and him having understanding. He was a 4th-round pick, and he's been absolutely crucial to what the Lions have done these past 3 years. They're going to take care of him.
Without a doubt. John Effing Lord, mailbag. Kool-Aid. Is the rumors true with Pistons and Hornets? Was he? Is there a trade rumor out there?
Listen, the Pistons have been linked to several different kind of shooting two-way wings out there, and Miles Bridges is one of them as well. And I know there's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of different opinions and conversations to be had on that. There's definitely truth to the rumor that the Detroit Pistons are making calls and being called, and the Hornets are one of those teams, just as are the Bulls as well. But in terms of if a deal is going to be consummated, that's still yet to be seen.
I hear you. Nick, I'm coming to you on this next one. Jack Harrington, mailbag.
Yeah.
Can the Red Wings make the playoffs? This will be the last question of the night.
All right, let's go Red Wings. They had a massive game against the Golden Knights where we won 5-2. Dylan Larkin got his 200th goal. He had 2
Let's
points.
go.
Lucas Raymond had 2 points. Mo Sider 2 points. DeBrincat with an assist. The Red Wings needed this game against the Golden Knights. They've been on this crucial, tough stretch against other top competing playoff teams, and they've been handling their business pretty well. They're currently plus 110 to make the playoffs. They've been hanging around that 100 number, and I believe they will. Hopefully Patty Kane comes back quick, and this Red Wings team keeps on rolling right there behind Alex Lyon in net. That's my thoughts on the Wings.
Let's go. Red Wings talk on the network.
That's why
That's what
Nick.
Woodward Nights brings you. I like that.
I promise you, we're going to be talking more Pistons, more Red Wings, and definitely more Tigers as we come up, mixed in with our Lions coverage.
What you got there on your right hand, bro?
Hey, I got my man. This is how I like to end the show. We're mailbag. We're just playing pitch and catch with some of these questions. There we go. But for me,
gotta use the glove.
No, this is pitchers. They don't share their gloves.
Oh,
like no one else can put their hands.
No,
in
that's
this
what I'm saying. Catch it.
Oh yeah, I got you. I got you. Boom.
Look at that.
4 Woodward Knights, 4 Detroit Kool-Aid, Nick, KG. My name is Matt Broder. I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. We will be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Have a great night, everyone. Toodles, my G's.
Blessings, everybody.